Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, so in one of the recent updates, a lot of weather balls. So one of the balls were for Polytote. So Polytote has water weather balls. So this is okay, so I'm going to make a disclaimer right now. Polytote is actually one of those really random things that you probably never thought you would have PvP IVs for. You do have it, you're in luck. If not, you're probably not going to get one anytime soon. Unless you find like a Poliwag nest or if you see one around. But it's actually really freaking good. Polytote with weather ball was, in all, Politoed was just missing a really good, like, bait move, because Surf wasn't good enough. So with Weather Ball is an incredibly powerful move, and it costs less energy. So that makes Politoed one of the strongest Pokemon in Go Battle League right now, thanks to this new update. Surprisingly, as you see here, Politoed is really unique because it's a pure water type. And it has really balanced stats. It's somewhat bulky. The reason I say somewhat is because its attack and its defense are pretty evenly lined up. That means Politote isn't super bulky, but it has some bulk. Does that make sense? That's why if you look on its matchups, it loses a lot of things because, like, literally the reason why is because the other Pokemon literally out pressures or out bulks Politote. Anyways, Politote is a pure water type, like I mentioned. So because it's a pure water type and it's not a mud boy, so it's not water and ground, which I don't know why it's not one because it has ground type attacks. But anyways, without having ground type, as you see here, you are weak to electric and grass. Two types which aren't super popular in Go Battle League as of right now. So it's actually really, that's why Politote kind of shoots up the meta. Electric and grass aren't really too commonly used, so if you manage to keep Politote away from this, it defeats a lot of high tier meta stuff. You do resist fire, ice, water, and steel. So you do have a variety of resistances across a lot of things in Go Battle League. And with the new weather ball Pokemon and the new updates, a lot of water, for example, like Azu, of course, ice, which is A9, the new weather ball A9, fire weather ball, or like Alola Marowak and other things. A lot of things are running around that you can resist. So it's really good. Now, the reason why Politote is so good, not just because of its semi-thick stats and its typing, it also has a great move pool. As you see here, you have access to Bubble, Mud Shot, and a great variety of charge moves. You have Surf, you have Hydro Pump, Blizzard, and you have Weather Ball. Now the thing about this is it also has Earthquake, but it's Legacy, so you have to use an Elite TM. So if you want to build the best Politoed, you need to actually Elite TM Earthquake. So it's a little expensive. Not many people I know actually have have Legacy Earthquake, but if you want to use it at maximum potential, you have to use an Elite TM, unfortunately. Alright, as you see here, here's the peeppoke.com rankings, and I don't even have to look for Politoed, because as you see here, Politoed, the regular version and the shadow version, are both in the top 10. That's right. Weather Ball single-handedly shot Politoed into the top 10 of Go Battle League. Great League, which is pretty nuts, considering, like, literally most of the top 10 is literally water types. But as you see here, it's extremely powerful in the lead and in the switch. So it has you have a lot of ways you can use Politoed for, like, your advantage. You can lead with it or you can switch with it. It's either one. Either way, with Mud Shot, you're gonna be able to get to Weather Ball fairly quickly. It only takes 4 Mud Shots to get to a Weather Ball because Weather Ball is 35 energy. Mud Shot generates 9 energy per shot. Because of that, Politoed is incredibly spammy. Because of its stat pool, it deals a decent wave of damage. So that's why it can beat Azu. It can even beat Azu. That's just how oppressive it is. However, we'll go over the matrix basically on its strengths and weaknesses. It's able to take out Bastiodon. It's also able to take out other Mud Boys, and it can take out Galarian Stunfisk. It's a very kind of anti-Metamon as far as like the water and the ground archetype. However, it does have some key losses. As you see here, you lose against Skarmory, Toxicroak, Deoxys defense, Altaria, and Hypno. Remember I mentioned to you the reason why Politoed gets destroyed by some things is because it's just not that thick? That's exactly why. Deoxys defense punches you down to death, Altaria will effectively wall you, and Hypno just confusions and thunder punches you to oblivion. So the SPAMMY matchup isn't that bad, but still, that's where Politoed kind of goes down, is that it's not thick enough to where it can take a huge amount of damage, unfortunately. As you see here in Politoed, Politoed's actually one of the top leads. As you see here, it's the top 10 lead. As you see, it takes out what I mentioned before. As a switch, it's also very, very powerful. So for the switch, it's by no means like not one of the top 10, but here it's actually the 16 one. Number 14 if you use the Shadow. Reason why? Because Shadow weather ball damage. As you see here, you pretty much beat the same things you do. The only thing you have to watch out for is Skarmory, Altaria, and as you see, every single grass Pokemon in existence. Because if you use this moveset, grass effectively walls you. So you get walled by grass and you get walled by Altaria. But just because of the sheer amount of damage it does, that's why Politoed is so good. As you see in the closer, Politoed is able to take out basically the same things from before, and it actually loses against some things in the closer because like I mentioned, that Politoed isn't super bulky, it's semi-bulky, not super bulky. But because it doesn't have bulk stats, that's why it loses against some meta-relevant Pokemon that literally just outthink it, as I mentioned before. Alright, here we have the ppoke.com matrix. As I always say, please consider donating to ppoke.com. So here we have Politoed. As you see here, Politoed, I put the Weather Ball Earthquake version and the Weather Ball Blizzard version. Now remember, you need to use an Elite TM if you want to get the best moveset. Unfortunately, this also means you're going to get walled by Altaria, but you know, if you can take out Altaria, Politoed pretty much goes to town, as long as it goes up against a really negative matchup. So as you see here, I already have the Great League meta in the right. We have the 2 shield. I'm going to hit battle. As you see here, you're going to lose against Abomasnow because it's a grass type. So just assume you're going to lose to every grass type, or anything that does peg you with grass or outpaces you. Just because Politoed, like I mentioned, isn't the thickest boy in the earth, so it's not going to take a lot of damage from a ton of moves. Now, you can beat Altaria if you have the Blizzard version. However, in order for this to happen, you need to be able to somehow double bait with a Weather Ball. Yes, as you see here, you have to double Weather Bait, and then you can Blizzard it to death, because anything that chills poor little Flying Fortress Blue Chicken is going to die. However, I mean, you could probably build up to the Blizzard and then, like, just fire it straight out, because Mudshot generates so much energy. You're probably going to get the Blizzard relatively quickly, which is about 9 Mudshots, which isn't that bad. As you see here, you can take it out if you match land it, but that's a lot of work, so don't be dependent on this matchup for the 2 shield. You do beat Azu, so the thing about Azu is Azu's a really weird matchup. You kind of have to be a little baity, as you see here. You kind of have to bait it out because it's going to take 2 Earthquakes to kill. Azu is so thick that you need to use 2 Earthquakes to kill it. And the only reason you do is because if Azu doesn't have Play Rough, which if it does have Play Rough, I think this matchup's actually flipped, because the reason you're able to resist... Actually, no, you could still... Wow. Holy crap. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, what if you don't... Okay, so you only lose the zeros. So you only lose the zeros against Azu because Play Rough does 60 damage. Okay, so it can actually take... It can take 2 Play Roughs. I am wrong. I'm proven wrong. So just be careful. Just be careful the Azu matchup, because you have, like I said, you have to hit 2 Earthquake. So if they shielded Earthquake, and they have Play Rough, you're a little bit in danger. So just play it accordingly. You still will outpace Azu though, so that's why you have such a strong matchup, because you have a lot of chances to jack up because you'll outpace the crap out of Azu. And if it does have only Ice Beam and Hydro Pump, you're in a really good position. You destroy Bastiodon. It's always good when you destroy Bastiodon. You beat Deoxys defense and Dugong. You also beat Diggersby, just because you're able to Water Weather Ball it to death. As you see here, you lose a lot of matchups without the Weather Ball. I mean, without Earthquake. That's why Earthquake's necessary. You lose against Drip... Anything... Like I said, if it's grass or it resists Mudshot, you're probably going to lose against it. Because, as you see here, you lose against Ferrothorn, Galvantula. You also lose against Hypno because it's thick and it can Thunder Punch you to death. You'll also lose against Jellicent because Jellicent can resist your Weather Balls. And even though you can't hit with Earthquake, Jellicent's thickness allows it to survive a lot of moves. So, you're not in a lot of luck in the 2-shield scenario. You could beat Lapras. However, this is also something I'd be here for, because you kind of have to bait. You can't just go straight Weather Ball. You have to land, as you see, you have to land an Earthquake. If you try to go straight Weather Ball, you will lose. Lapras will win. And the thing about it is that you kind of have to bait with Earthquake, which is, I don't recommend like this, like even trying to get into this matchup. You do beat Lapras convincingly, but that's only if you get double bait with Weather Ball. Because if they end up shielding one of your Earthquakes, as you see here, say they don't shield the Weather Ball because they can tank the Weather Ball, so you're not gonna threaten too hard with Weather Ball. Oh, this simultaneous knockout. Never mind. That's actually really interesting. No. Are you sure? Surf. Well, it can surf, so yeah, it can surf. Yeah, Lapras will win. So as you see, Lapras wins. If they shield your, if they shield your Earthquake, you lose. That's basically what it is. Yeah. So they have to shield it. You have to shield the Earthquake, and then you could probably just go straight Weather Ball. So you still have to land one Weather Ball. It's dicey because Lapras isn't super threatened by it. Like if they call it once, then they're pretty safe to just surf you to death. So just be careful of the Politoed versus Lapras matchup. You do beat Alolan Marowak because of fire, and you lose against a slew of things: Shadow Champ, Manabuzz, and Mantine. Medicham, Meganium, you do beat Melmetal, Mew, Munchlax, Obstagoon. You're gonna simultaneously knock out with Alolan Raichu just because, like I mentioned, you don't have that electric resistance, so Volt Switch does a super effective damage. You also lose against Sableye, Scrafty, Shiftry, things that are able to just literally beat you down because they have so much, they have so much, like, bulk, as you see here. Or they have a boost because Scrafty could just straight pup you to death. You do beat a variety of metal. You still beat Skarmory in the 2-shield. You beat Stunfisk, Swampert, Toxicroak. You get absolutely annihilated by Razor Leaf users, though. So if you see a Razor Leaf user, you have to run. You beat Swampert, you beat Toxicroak even because Mud Shots does super effective damage, and Weather Ball, you could just Weather Ball down. So you'll outpace Toxicroak as well. You beat Wishcash, you lose against Wigglytuff in the 2-shield, unfortunately. And you lose very closely to Zweilous, so unless you're able to Blizzard it to death. So, as you see, Blizzard can also win the Tropius, but however, I wouldn't try. As you see, you lose a lot of matchups not having Earthquake, so definitely Earthquake is the way to go. Alright, so I did the 2-shield, but here's the 1-shield. As you see, the 1-shield's a little more forgiving. I think you might be able to just go straight Blizzard against Altaria, maybe? Here, let's give it a shot. Because you generate so much energy with Mud Shot. Oh no, you have to bait. Okay, that's kind of bad. Yeah, that's kind of bad. Yeah, that's kind of bad. This is a bait dependent match. That's a bait dependent matchup. You still beat Azu. I'm assuming you still have to land Earthquake. You beat Bastiodon. You lose against Chestnut, Clefable, Cresselia because Grass Knot sucks. I mean, it sucks for you because it's gonna hurt really hard. It's gonna hit really hard. Deoxys. I think Diggersby's matchup is really baity because you have to Earthquake. Yeah, you can't go straight Earthquake, so you have to bait a shield. You have to land like 2 Earthquakes. You literally have to land like 2 Earthquakes. The thing that sucks about Weather Ball, or just water in general, the water typing, is that double resistors, or the ice water hybrids, which are Dugong and Lapras. They effectively just like, if they call your bait, it kind of sucks because they can actually, like, they're pretty safe because, like I said, you have to fire multiple Earthquakes to take them down. So just be careful of that matchup. Diggersby, you're just going to Water Ball it to death. You beat Frostless. You also beat Haunter. You beat Jellicent. Wait, you beat Jellicent? But I'm assuming you have to bait and then double Earthquake. So you have to be up. You have to bait. So you have to bait with Weather Ball, and then you have to double Earthquake for the win. So if you get the bait, that's great, because then you could just double Earthquake for the victory. But that's a bait dependent matchup. You could still win. Being able to win is still a good thing. Same thing with Lapras. This is bait dependent as well. Now with Blizzard, it does flip like the Manabuzz and Manti match. Still don't recommend you run it just because Blizzard kind of leaves you on the wall. If they have Blizzard, Dugong and Lapras will just run you over. And you really don't have a way out. Well, you can beat Lapras, but it's still really bad. It's still really close. Or they're still really comfortable. You lose against Meganium, you lose against Mew, you lose Alolan Raichu, you lose against Sableye, Shiftry, Skarmory. So Skarmory, you drop the Skarmory matchup in the 1s versus the 2-shield. It looks like you're able to beat Scrafty now because of the shield scenarios, and you could just go, okay, so wait, so that's Weather Ball. This is bait dependent because you can't just go straight Earthquake, or can you just go straight Weather Ball? No, you can't. So you have to bait. So this is a bait dependent matchup too. So for Scrafty, this is a bait dependent matchup. You have to bait with Weather Ball and then fire Earthquake. So Polytoad's really good, but it has you have to be there's a lot of stuff you have to do to like flip some matchups, so it's not user friendly by no means. You get destroyed by Tropius unless you have Blizzard, which you can Blizzard it to death. You beat Vigoroth, you beat Wishcash, you lose against Wigglytuff's Wireless, and of course Venusaur, and Shadow Victory Bell just turns you into Swiss Politoed, okay? You're not gonna dance in glee after you're done getting into the paper shredder, which is called Shadow Razor Leaf. Alright, so we did the 1 shield, now here's the zeros. As you see, the 2 and the 1s are like really... It's a real, like, you have good matchups against really meta-relevant stuff, but some of them are really baity. The zeros are where you kind of don't want to be. It's just its weakest position because, like I said, it's not super thick. However, in the zeros, if you have Blizzard, you can take out Altaria. You're also able to take out Azu. I believe you just go straight Earthquake. Earthquake. Okay, so you actually double Earthquake and then Weather Ball. The question is, do you lose against a Play Rough Azu? Okay, so if it's a Play Rough Azu, you lose. That's not good news. So you'll only win this matchup. You double Earthquake and then you Weather Ball, but you only win if it's not a Play Rough Azu. If it's a Play Rough Azu, it flips the matchup. You beat Bastiodon, always good. You lose against Chestnut because it's a Grass type, of course. It's gonna Energy Ball you to death. You win against Clefable. You lose against DD and Cresselia. So it doesn't look like you have any prayer against DD or Cresselia unless you have like shield advantage. Yeah, so unless you have shield advantage, you won't actually be able to beat some meta-relevant matchups here. But being able to beat them with shield advantage is still good. You just straight... I believe you Earthquake Dugong to death. You Earthquake. Okay, Earthquake. Okay, so a lot of matchups in the closer, you're gonna Earthquake, Weather Ball, unless they have chip damage. So just Earthquake everything to death. And then Weather Ball. You beat Drifblim because you could just Weather Ball Drifblim down. You could also just Weather Ball down... I believe you Weather Ball down Frostless as well. As you see, Weather Ball just does so much damage. You do 50 damage, so you take out like a third of Frostless's health, and because you outpace it, because Weather Mud Shot allows you to outpace so much, you just spam Weather Ball over and over again. The Weather Ball Mud Shot combination is what makes it so good. That's why you're able to outpace so many good Pokemon. So even if you do mess up on that bait, you might be able to get another chance at it. So just keep that in mind. You're going to lose against Haunter because it's just going to Shadow Punch you to death. Shadow Hypno and Hypno will Thunder Punch you down. Jellicent now has the 420 advantage on you, so that's the greatest number on Earth, so I don't think you can take it down. But it's just because you have, like, as you see here, Jellicent's bulk, it will outbulk you. You have to Earthquake it, and unfortunately 2 Shadow Balls are enough to just take you out. And it gets there really fast, too. With Blizzard, you can take out some flyers, but like I said, the Earthquake variation is definitely much better. Without Blizzard, without Earthquake, you can't beat the Ice-Water hybrids. As you're able to beat Lapras, you beat Medicham, you beat Melmetal, Mew will Wild Charge you to death, and Meganium will just, you will get Frenzy Planet down. And it looks like Obstagoon can beat you with just like Night Slashing you down. Oh, it's actually, the extra disperse that comes from the trash can from the ground, and it's gonna Gunk Shot you down. So as you see, some things that are semi-thick, like with Obstagoon, double Weather Ball doesn't do enough damage to take you out. And it just Gunk Shots you to death. You beat Registeel. Registeel does beat you as well. So you beat Registeel. I lied. You beat Registeel. I believe you could because you just Earthquake it to death. You also beat Scrafty. You're able to flip Shiftry with Blizzard, but I wouldn't depend on that anyways. If you're in the closer with Shiftry and it has Energy Lead, it's probably going to kill you with Leaf Blade. So just be very careful. You lose against Skarmory, so you only beat Skarmory, I believe, in the 2s. You'll lose against Stunfisk because it's Electric type. However, you still beat G-Fisk. You beat Swampert. You beat Toxicroak. You're still going to lose against Grass types. A lot of Grass types, like Venusaur and Tropius. Unless you have Blizzard. Now, this is kind of good. If you are in the zeros, you can finally take out Shadow Victory Bell. So it doesn't quite wall you, but you have to Earthquake it. So you have to Earthquake the Pineapple. If you don't have the Earthquake, if you can't Earthquake it, or if you don't have the if you can't Earthquake it, then you go down. So if it has 1 shield, you die. That's basically it, because it's just gonna shield the Earthquake of the Weather Ball, and then it Razor Leafs you down. So there's a way about Shadow Victory Ball, but that's still not a super comfortable matchup. In the 1-0s, you get a good thing. So having shield advantage is good. Having a shield allows you to flip a lot of matchups. As you see, you beat a lot of things, except you're not unable. You're still gonna lose against Abomasnow. You're just gonna lose against Altaria because Altaria still walls you. Chestnut will beat you down with the Energy Ball. Ferrothorn, Hypno, you get a simultaneous knockout with Hypno. You lose against Meganium. You lose against Mew still. Tropius, and Venusaur. But it looks like you're able to beat a lot of other things. So basically just grass types and things that like electric type of tappings. Just things that you're weak to. And then you just get straight up nuked. So just keep in mind that even though you have shield advantage, some things can still beat you. Primarily grass types, Altaria, and the occasional wild charge. So just kind of careful. Other than that, you beat the rest of the meta. Alright, so that's a 1-0s. We did the 2-0s. I'm assuming you're still going to lose to like grass and electric types, which is pretty much it. Yep. Well, actually, you beat everything but Tropius. Dang, dude! So the 2-0s, Tropius, you literally only lose against Tropius, which is because it resists Mud Shot, is what I'm assuming. But other than that, you beat everything else. Unless you have Blizzard, then you can just send Tropius to the next episode of Game of Thrones. So, yeah. With shield advantage, I think it gets a little dicey. Like, you start losing against, like... Okay, so you still lose against Wigglytuff. That's not good to know. That's good to know. You're still gonna lose against Wigglytuff, but you beat a lot of the immediate meta. As you see here, you're still gonna lose against... Wow. It's kind of complicated. Because in the 2-1... As long as you have shield... If you have shield advantage, you could flip Cresselia. You flip Deoxys defense, which normally beats you anyways. You'll beat Ferrothorn, you beat Galvantula. You convincingly beat Jellicent. And you beat Mew. So, as long as you have shield advantage, matches that you would lose in the 2s, you can flip in the 2-1s. So, if you set it up to where Politoed has shield advantage, you can possibly flip some of its negative matchups. As you see here, there's a little too many for me to count, but like, I think the 2 key ones... Actually, there's 3 key ones. As you see, it's Cresselia, Deoxys D, Cresselia, Deoxys, and Deoxys defense, and Galvantula. You even beat Hypno. So things that would normally outpace you or are bulkier than you can take them down as long as you have 2-1s. So something you can do is just go to the, instead of like, if you're using it as a lead, you end up going to a bad matchup, then you flip, you switch, and then break a shield, try to win switch back, etc., or win switch. And then you can leave Politoed with shield. That's some way you could do it, but... As you see, Politoed with shield advantage is very powerful. It can flip a lot of negative matchups that I would normally use, unless it's Shadow Victory Bell. As again, you only beat the Venus Flytrap unless it's in the 0s and it doesn't have shields. So if I had to give Politoed a rating, I actually give it a 9 out of 10. The combination of Mud Shot and Weather Ball is just really freaking powerful. The only issue is it's susceptible to the Charm strat, the Charm with Shield strat, so Charmers with Shields. And if you look on the 2s, or to just best position, it actually beats 79% of its matchup. So 5 and 3 wins, which is really good. Just because of the Mud Shot and Weather Ball combination. If you're able to bait expertly, or if you're able to bait, if you're able to catch your opponent with like baits, then Politoed can flip matchups, which is really good. But as you see here, the reason why I can't give it a perfect score, or I'm hesitant to give it even a 9, is just because Grass is so oppressive against it. And Charmers. As you see, that's why Shadow Gardevoir just ends your life, because it just charms you down in the 2 shield. So as you see here, it's very and things that like outpace it, for example, Mew, because it can get outpaced, like not necessarily outpaced because you'll outpace Mew to a Weather Ball. It's just Wild Charge hits like a truck. So basically, because of it not being super thick too, I can't give it a perfect score. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 anyways, just because even though like if there's just like it looks like as you see with the like we saw with Cresselia, or like with Castform here with Energy Ball, if something has a grass type attack like Grass Knot with Cresselia, you will lose. So that's the problem with like playing Politoed. It also takes a considerable amount. It's your main reason is to spam with Mud Shot and Weather Ball. However, the fact that it's also it's very baity, it's a little hard to run. And you need to use an Elite TM. So you need to Elite TM Earthquake to get Yeah, you need an Elite TM Earthquake if you don't have Earthquake Politoed already. So, need to spend an Elite TM, get shredded by Charmers and Razor Leafers and just the Grass archetype in general. But the good thing about Politoed, it's extremely powerful with Weather Ball. Weather Ball, you get there in 4 Mud Shots, so 8 turns. So because of that, Politoed is one of the fastest spammers in the game right now, and that's why it places so high. Because of Mud Shot and Weather Ball, it does so much damage. Not only that, you beat a lot of relevant meta matchups, and if you can play the bait game like a monster, then you can actually flip some matchups. So like I mentioned before, that's what makes Politoed so good. If you have one and you want to use it, there's been a lot of like there's been a lot of like pizzazz about it, and rightfully so, based on what we've seen. Give it shield advantage, it can flip matchups it would lose in the 2s, and the spam allows you to like create like crazy energy generation plays and just spam Weather Ball like no tomorrow. Guys, like this video, please like and subscribe. Good luck on your Go Battle Elites, and I will see you on the next one.